Okay, ready to roll? Okay,
Okay.
appreciate it. Good afternoon. Thanks for everybody for being here. Talk a little bit about this past weekend and, get our eyes forward to Wisconsin. And, first of all, before I do that, just want to take a minute and, congratulate Dan Gable. Just what a outstanding day that was yesterday, and such a prestigious award for him to get the Presidential, Medal of Freedom. That's just truly amazing. I was here in the 80s and when Dan was coaching our team, and then when I got back here, returned as a coach, and just have had tremendous respect for him, obviously, as a competitor, when he was competing collegiately, Olympically, but his coaching career is just absolutely phenomenal. And every time I get a chance to listen to him talk, it's just a treat, and basically what stands out is his love and focus just mainly on his family and his athletes during his entire career. And boy, you just talk about doing it at the highest level. He's done that in both fronts. So just really happy for him there. And then the other thing, obviously, he's got a deep love of wrestling, the sport of wrestling, and the University of Iowa. So just really appreciative of that. And it's just wonderful that he and his family could be involved in such a really prestigious, ceremony yesterday. So congratulations to Dan and his entire family there. Just looking back real quickly, again, just really happy to get the victory the other day. There's nothing easy about it. And, we knew it was going to be a challenge going down there. We knew it was a challenge all week, and had a lot of respect and continue to for the Illinois program, the job Coach Smith does. And after those first 20 minutes, it was not looking so good. We certainly weren't ready, and they were. But just appreciate the fact that our guys, fought on, kept playing, and that's why you play 60 minutes. It's a full game, and our guys got back on their feet and were able to do some good things after that. So, happy about the win. Obviously, got back here semi-late for Saturday night and turned on the film. And Sunday there's a lot to work on, a lot of things to clean up and improve on. So that's been our task since we got back here, and needs to be the task as we move forward towards Wisconsin. Captains are the same 6 guys. We got Chauncey, Nick, Matt on defensive side, Mackay and Tyler Linderbaum offensively, and then Dunk as the special teams rep. And injury-wise, we're I think doing fairly well. Mark Kallenberger did dress out last weekend, worked a little bit on Friday, and an emergency could have probably gone in if we had to. But now we get a chance to let him actually work a little bit in practice. So we'll, he'll be out there playing a little bit Saturday as well. Not sure the rotation yet. We'll go from there. But just a couple words about Wisconsin. It really doesn't change year to year. It's a tough physical football team. They're extremely well coached. They got good players every year. They've got a good coaching staff. Coach Chris and his staff do an amazing job. And probably if you go back to the early 90s, it's almost the same script each and every year. Some faces have changed, obviously, but they just play good football, and they make you earn anything that you're going to get. And that's the case this year again. They're big, they're physical, they play hard, extremely hard, and don't make many errors. And on top of that, they play really well. They've got a good offensive line again, good running game, quarterback who looks very impressive, good receivers, and defensively, I think they're leading the league in just about every category. So, it's what you'd expect. They're a really tough football team, and it's going to require us to play our best game. And that's, we haven't done that yet. We've done some good things and been really good at times, but, for us to win this game, it's going to take our best effort and take it for the, the full 60. We're going to have to earn it, that's for sure, if we're going to get it done. So it's kind of been the history of the series, and, that's what we're looking at right now. And just the last point, I just want to say thanks, publicly to our seniors. We have 22 guys being recognized Saturday, potentially their last day in Kenny. And, it's not going to be a normal senior day on a lot of levels, the virtual world that we're living in. But nonetheless, it'll be really good for them to get recognized. And I'm just sorry, first of all, that the fans won't be there to be able to, salute them and say goodbye. And to that point, really, feel for the fans as much as anybody this year. They haven't been able to be in Kenneck. So we've missed them. We appreciate their interest and look forward to getting them back hopefully soon. But again, the seniors, it's just, it's always a bittersweet moment, really happy for them and the growth and the things that they've done during their career, appreciative of all they've done during their careers. And, but you hate to think about them not being here for another year, but that's college football. And that being said, we wish everybody all the luck in the world if they choose to transition on. But, it's just a great group. And like every year, a lot of good stories beyond the football. And the football stories are probably, more well-known. fans get to follow guys, especially the guys playing prominent roles. But out of the 22 guys, each guy's got a great story, a different story, and that's I think the beautiful thing about team sports. Just for coaches to have that window and see guys over the course of 4 years, 5 years, just how they grow and develop. It's a lot of fun. So certainly, just want to thank them for all their contributions, and hopefully they'll have a great day on Saturday as well. And then that being said, just feel fortunate that we're continuing to move forward and without too many consequences or bumps in the road. Knock on wood, because I know it's all day to day. So all that being said, we know we got to be at our best on 2:30 Saturday. We're looking forward to the challenge, and know it's going to be a big challenge, but we'll look forward to trying to get ready for it. I'll throw it out for questions.
Okay, if you have a question for Coach Ferentz, please raise your hand by clicking on the participant button at the bottom of your screen. Coach, the first question this afternoon from Chad Leistico.
Hey there. The 22 seniors, they're listed in the game notes as playing their last game. I mean, have you had any conversations with these guys about, who could come back? I know it's an unusual year in that sense. I mean, Duncan basically told us he's not coming back. Same with Neiman. Do you pretty much know who's coming back, who's not?
You've asked more. No, I don't. To answer your question, no. Back when I sat down with all the guys individually, back before we got going, so that's probably September, I'm guessing, right? And I just mentioned each and every one of them at that point. It looked like they had another year available to them if they wanted to, and it really hadn't been appropriate for me to come, talk about that with those guys during this time. We've just been focused on our week-to-week preparation, and no different this week. If we end up playing next week, we'll do the same thing. So whenever the season ends, we'll sit down and visit with guys. And it sounds like you've already done some homework for me, so if you don't mind sharing notes, that'd be great. But I'll still want to talk to them individually and just get their feelings. But it's a unique year. What hasn't been different this year, and it's strictly up to them. We would welcome all of them back, and there may be a few that'll be interested, but I also know, everybody's got a clock, and I think we've seen that clock change a little bit over recent years. And, there's a time for everything, the old song, turn, right? There's a time for everything. And, whenever guys feel like it's time to move on, at least they have an option this year. So it's kind of a nice change.
The next question, Coach, from Rob Howe.
You talked this summer about a coaching approach that was demanding without being demeaning. I wonder, since the summer, just kind of how things have gone in that regard in the building. Any issues there, any concerns? What have you observed and what have you heard feedback-wise from the players in terms of how things have gone?
Yeah, I can only answer to the what you just mentioned, the feedback part. It's been positive. I check with the leadership group weekly, just about issues, things that we need to be aware of, things we need to address, et cetera. And everything's been very, very positive. And I think you're seeing that with the way the guys are playing on Saturdays. That's your window. The media interviews you have on Tuesday, and then what you see of them on Saturdays and talk to them after the games. To me, that usually is probably the best window you have. And, seems like things are going pretty smoothly. It certainly isn't perfect. Nothing's perfect, but I think we're being diligent in our regards. Everybody involved that's working with our players, and I think we're all aware of what we've been through over the last 6-8 months, whatever it may be. And, I think everybody's doing a good job putting a good foot forward. So, as far as I know, everything's going well.
How challenging is the balance to be demanding without being demeaning?
I don't think it's all that tough, me personally. And it's like anything in life, most of us have stepped over lines, in anything we do, typically, I'm guessing, I'm just guessing. Or it's a relationship with your wife, or, you say something to one of your kids out of anger, whatever. I really think the key point is if you do step over the line, you circle back and make amends, just say, that was an emotional thing I just said. I didn't mean that, et cetera. Here's what I was trying to get across. And it's not like that happens all the time, but if it does, you just try to, address it in that way. And, it's kind of what I've tried to do throughout my entire career. And, first thing you want to do is not step over that line. But if you do, you acknowledge it, correct it, and don't repeat it. I mean, it's a pretty simple policy, but, I don't think anybody feels like they're on eggshells or anything like that. We're just coaching football, we're enjoying our players, and we got a really good group of guys to work with.
The next question, Coach, from Scott Docterman.
Kirk, today, Michigan, Ohio State got called off. Indiana, Purdue's on the ropes. A couple weeks ago, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and several other games of less historical value, I guess. How fortunate do you feel that you can actually have played every week and haven't had any interruptions? And how cognizant are you that, there could be some really strange scenarios coming up here in the next week to 10 days?
Well, yeah, I mean, the key word there is fortunate. I've been saying that for a long time now. To me, the biggest break for us, obviously, was the rapid testing. That otherwise, there's no way I could see us playing this season realistically based on contact tracing. But that's given us all a chance realistically to do a team activity and pull it off over a prolonged period of time. That's one component. The other component is just personal responsibility. That's huge. I think it's definitely huge. And I've told you, I witnessed that when we dropped the season back in August. We dropped our guard, and I think, it was all directly related to attitude. Third ingredient is, luck as much as anything. And, I don't mean this in a political way. I'm just saying if the president of the United States can get COVID, it means anybody, because I'm guessing he's pretty well insulated and protected. And Nick Saban got it. So, I mean, there's two pretty prominent people that are pretty insulated, I would assume. So it just, it's part of what we're dealing with now as not only our society, but the world, everybody in the world's dealing with this thing, and it's tricky. And so there's an element of luck. There's no question about it. But going back to that rapid testing, that opened the door for us as a conference. It's given us a chance, I think, at least to feel like, when we're at work here, we're safe. We're on the field, we're safe. And the biggest risk is when, you get in your car and go home. That's really where our players go back to where they live. So, it's all day to day, and it's been that way since we got going. That last day of September, it's been day to day. And my guess is, and it's kind of what I told our team, at least until January 2nd or 3rd, whenever that is, we have to put COVID on the list of, things that we really need to be mindful of, because it's the biggest challenge out there, quite frankly, bigger than any opponent.
The next question, Coach, from Mark Emmert.
Yeah, Kirk, I wanted to ask you about one of your seniors in particular, Nick Neiman. Obviously, I think he's your last Neiman, but you've had a lot of them here. You got his dad here now too. I guess what's he meant to this program? What does that whole family meant to your program?
It made me think. I probably should say to Jay what I told Jerry Hilgenberg about almost 40 years ago now, 35 years ago. I told Jerry, I said, I wish you and Judy, I wish you guys had Joanna, excuse me, they have a daughter named Judy. Wish you guys had more boys, right? 3 Hilgenbergs went through here, and each of them were captains, played extremely well. Yeah, centers. And you think about what both Ben and Nick have done during their time here. Both really good players on the field, and Ben's, continuing to improve, kind of like George Kittle. He just gets better with every year now that he's a pro, and Nick has done the same thing. He's just, his career's going like that. He's playing at a really high level right now as a senior. One of our leaders, certainly, he's been a captain every week. And the other commonality with both of them is that they're both just tremendous people. They're great young guys to have on the team, great guys to work with on a daily basis. You love having them in the building. And I think that goes right back to mom and dad. They did a great job raising those kids. And I still remember like it was yesterday calling Jay, talking about Ben. We were getting ready to offer Ben. I felt like a kidnapper, because he was going to go to Northern where Jay was coaching at that time. And I remember exactly where I was, when it was, and I remember that conversation vividly. But it's all worked out, just all worked out. Funny how that was not the master plan, but pretty neat deal.
The next question, Coach, from Chad Leistico.
Excuse me.
Hey, Coach. I think while you were talking, Julius Brents made it official or announced on Twitter that he was transferring. Did you get to have a conversation with him? And I guess just thinking back, to guys like Josh Jackson, Michael Ojemudia, who blossomed later in their careers, is that kind of some information maybe you shared with him as well on that topic?
Those are two good illustrations. Not good, great illustrations. And as far as I know, Mike is still starting for the Broncos, and so he's clearly playing his best football, probably after he left college, but last year was his best year as a Hawkeye. And it's something I share with all of our players if they're thinking about leaving. And, but to answer your first question, I did talk to Julius. He came in Sunday and told me his intentions. I just, we had a fairly thorough conversation. I just asked him to sleep on it and come back the next day and just to make sure he was sure. And but he had already given it pretty extensive thought. That was apparent. Excuse me. So, I mean, long story short, I'm a little perplexed by his reasoning, and to your point, for your point, the timing's a little bit interesting, but also that being said, I really respect his honesty and his courage, because that's how he's feeling right now, and he's going to follow his heart. So I just wish him nothing but the best. Have great respect for Julius. He's a tremendous young person, a really good guy, a good guy to have on our team, and he was playing really well in special teams for us. And as you know, that's usually the first step before a guy goes out in the field and competes really well. So, wherever he chooses to go, I know he'll do a good job. He's a first-class guy, and but it's just kind of interesting right now. It seems to be, I guess basketball's been experiencing this for quite some time, but somebody just told me, they were talking earlier, I think it's, I got it written down here, it's been 121 players have entered the portal in the last 8 days, 31 alone yesterday. So, that phenomenon has come to our sport. And when they do make the 1 year or the first time, transfer, a free transfer, I guess that's going to become official here pretty soon. We'll probably see those numbers go up. So it's going to be one more thing we have to deal with and manage, and we'll just keep pushing forward.
Do you feel, in relation to Rob's question, do you feel confident that the 5 transfers you've had so far are outside the racial disparities conversation? Yeah,
all I can do is share with you the conversations I had with them, and I'm not going to go into the full extent. But that's one of the questions I asked each and every one guy. Did you feel like, you weren't being treated fairly, et cetera? Everybody gave the proper answer, but, really you got to go to the source to probably, get the honest answer there. But that was not the case with any of them. And we've stayed in contact with the other 4 to make sure they're following through and finishing their academic work here, so they can go to wherever it is they choose to go. And we've also offered to help each and every one of them too. So all 5 guys are great guys. Got no issues with that, and wish them all the best as they move forward. But at the end of the day, it's really a player's choice to decide what they want to do.
The next question, Coach, from Grant Becker.
Coach, I know you guys are focused on Wisconsin this week, but is it a little bit weird to you that we know probably even less about what's going to happen next week than we did back in September or whenever they announced the season? And are you guys you want to play somebody, you don't care when or where it is, or would you like to get some details about next week?
It'd be nice, but to your question, the heart of your question is, is it weird? Yeah, it's definitely weird. But what isn't this year? That really, I think if we've all learned, and it's not just football, obviously, it's every walk of life. What has been normal? I mean, there's been nothing normal. I know about my life, and I know, I'm not the Lone Ranger there. So, you get in your car, you go home, and then you come here and you go home. So I'm just glad I got someplace to go and something to do. A lot of people aren't that lucky right now. So, for us to complain or worry about that, if they, hopefully we'll know by the end of Sunday night, but there was a game last week, I guess, right, where they found out like Wednesday, or, I know the Pac-12 did a switch like on Friday, I think, and played Sunday. So, you're looking around, I'm not really paying attention to that stuff, but people talk about it in our staff room or whatever, and it could be a lot worse. So there's just, I'm just thrilled that we're playing. Hopefully we get this 8th game in. And if we do, well, that's a big chunk of the original goal. And if we get to play a couple afterwards, that's great too. And we don't need a lot of advance notice. It'd be nice to have at least, 5-6 days. But right now, we're just happy to be together and happy to be doing what we all like doing.
To follow up on that there, what's the smallest amount of time you would need to feel comfortable about playing a football game? I know basketball is different, but we've seen basketball teams schedule like 16 hours in advance. Football, we haven't seen anything. I think 3 days might be the closest. What is that like for you?
Yeah, the craziest one I heard of was the teams were Arizona State, Utah, UCLA, and somebody else, right? You know what I'm talking about? A couple weekends ago. I think that was a Friday, and I think they played Saturday. I can't imagine that. It would be almost the equivalent of like just playing without really practicing. Coming into the season like this year, it was so screwed up, but it was better than nothing. But didn't always look so pretty at times. So yeah, I mean, we being football coaches, we're such creatures of habit. Like we do things, by the week, and it's just the way it works. So, I mean, again, anything less than 5 days would be a real scramble, but we'd find a way. And hopefully we won't get to that, but we'll see what happens.
Coach, the next question from Jeff Johnson.
Yeah, Coach. Obviously, you've talked and we've talked about the development of Davion Nixon as a football player and what he's been able to accomplish this season. But just talking to him about the things that he's overcome, personally in his life with the learning disability and everything to get to this point. How much appreciation do you have maybe for that part of it as his coach?
Yeah, again, he's not a senior, but I mentioned about the seniors. Every guy's got a story. And most of them involve some kind of adversity, hardship, whether it's in their personal lives, families, might be academically, whatever. But that's kind of the nature of this thing. And, going to college is not easy for a lot of people. It wasn't for me. I know that. And playing football, major college football, which I'd never experienced, I know that's not hard. I look at the work that our guys do compared to, when I was playing, that was 100 years ago, I get it. But it's just, both of them are full-time activities. And then you factor in all those other things that are real life things. And, so that's why you have such respect for the players that play. And I'm not talking about guys that are, a guy like Davion's very well known, but guys that aren't so well known that maybe have, not even played, but they just do all the things everybody else does. This is not easy. That's again, why I have such great respect for anybody who becomes a senior. And going back to Davion, he's just done a wonderful job. And I think I mentioned last week, maybe I didn't, or it was after the game, whatever. But I remember watching our game against Illinois a year ago, and watching he and Zach Van Valkenburg out there when the twos were out there, and both those guys looked fairly pedestrian. I don't mean that in a negative way, but they just looked okay. They were out there kind of killing time while the other guys were resting, and we got the varsity back in there, and we played a little better defense, but. Neither one of those guys are playing pedestrian right now. Davion's playing as well as anybody has inside. As an inside player for us, extremely disruptive, and just doing a really nice job and giving us a lot of life and energy, leadership out there in the field. And Zach's playing at a high level too. So we just talked about Mike and Josh Jackson. Those guys. That's a neat thing about this. Not everybody. It doesn't always click for guys at the same time. And that's the interesting part. And as long as they're trying, as long as they're giving the effort and making the effort, you stick with them because you just never know what's going to unfold. And that doesn't always, but sometimes you have stories like this. And if Davion ends up on an All-American list or two, I mean, legitimate first teams, that wouldn't shock me because this guy's playing really well. And, so it's a real tribute to him to stick with it. And his family's been really supportive. So we're just thrilled he's on our football team.
Coach, the next question from Scott Docterman.
When you look at Wisconsin, I mean, I don't know that any team reloads better than they do defensively over the years. They seem to have an All-American linebackers in the NFL, and then they bring somebody else in who's just as good or better. And in every one of their games, they've held their opponents to 263 yards or less. What's the challenges for you in the run game from the way they have their run fits? And then also, you got a quarterback that's going to see a different defense that he's never experienced before.
Yeah, broader base perspective on them. To me, one of the most amazing things I saw with their defensive program, and they've been good for 22 years, since I've been back here. When they shifted to a 34 front, I figured that was going to take a couple of years. It took about 2 weeks, it looks like, because they were right at the top of the league first year. And they had 7 or 8, 9 seniors on that team. So, okay, they got some good seniors, at least, maybe that's why. 3 weeks into the next season with all these new players, they were higher ranked than they were the year before defensively. So there's something in the water up there. I mean, they're just playing defense and, they've done that very well all 22 years. It's probably why they've been so successful for so long because it's consistently good defense. And it's going to be a big challenge for us, to your point. They don't give up many yards. They don't give up many points. And they make you go a long field typically. That's byproduct of what they do offensively, byproduct of their belief in special teams. So it's amazing how often you're starting down inside your 25 and you have to go the long field. And then you go to look at, red area snaps of their opponents and you don't see many because they don't get down there. It's hard to drive the ball, possess the ball against a good team like that for 55, 70 yards. And they know that. So they play it really smart and it works to their advantage. And they've had great success doing that. It's going to be a challenge for Spencer. It's going to be a challenge for each and every one of us, coaches included, because it's not like we've been running up a lot of points against them.
The next question, Coach, from Chad Leistico.
Last one from me. Last year you rolled out the 4-4-3 defense against Wisconsin, and 3 guys out there really hadn't played much, and Dylan, Jack, and Barrington. And this year you would seem to have a lot better personnel at that level. Is that a possibility on Saturday, or was that kind of scrapped after they rushed for 300 last year?
I think anything's possible, and probably what we ought to do is look at maybe a 12-man defense. That might be a better. It worked for Kansas. I alluded to that, right, against Penn State, whatever it was, 69 Orange Bowl. Worked for a couple plays, and then they caught it on the third one. So I got a feeling this day and age they'd probably catch it a little quicker. So I'm not sure we got an answer at this point. We'll see.
Next question, Coach, from Tom Kakert.
Kirk, you were talking about Davion. I'm sure he's attracted some NFL attention from scouts. How does the scouting thing work this year? Because they're
That's why I'm laughing.
Building, they're at practice, they're around, and how do you guys? Are you talking more to them? How does it work this year?
Yeah, this is going to really be an interesting thing. I've kind of laughed about that. It's welcome to our world because we're recruiting guys younger and younger, and we don't get to go watch practices this year. We can't watch a game. So the NFL is going through the same thing. At least, I know they did the draft virtually last year, but, they at least have been on campuses. And typically, I don't know how many times one team will be on campus here. I don't know if it's 5, 8, during the course of the season. Not the same guy, but a lot of different people come in and out. So they don't have those exposures. They may be talking to people in this building. They're not talking to me. I know that. Typically, you visit with them when they're here on campus, but so I imagine they'll probably do that part of it after we're all done playing. But I imagine they're just watching game films. I do know they've been in some stadiums. I don't know if they're in all stadiums, but so at least they get a live exposure on game days, maybe in certain instances. I guess in the South they can. They don't seem to have fan limitations in certain parts of the country, but it's going to be a real challenge for them. But the bottom line is, good players are good players. And it's funny, there's a GM that I talked with a little bit, or shared a text with the first round draft pick. Had a big game a couple weeks ago or months ago. I don't know when it was, and he just said, he gave me the guy's stats and said, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out this guy's pretty good, his college stats and all that stuff. So, good players are still good players, but the better scouting organizations will find those guys that are maybe hidden out a little bit. And that's their challenge to worry about, not ours. We got our hands full with Wisconsin right now.
Coach, the final question this afternoon from Scott Docterman.
Yeah, Kirk, is this a program you measure yourself against? I mean, they have been kind of the flagship program of the Big Ten West for, since really divisional play started.
I told that story many times. In 1989, we'd love to play them twice. Twice in a day, doubleheader. They were really down and out for whatever reason. I can't explain it. When I got here in '81, they were outstanding. And but that was not a good decade. By the end of the decade, they had really kind of struggled with the football program. And Barry got hired that year, and it's been really good since then. It took them 2-3 years to get where they wanted to get, and they've been doing it well ever since. So, yeah, I'll go back to '99 when I got here. That was the first team we looked at because not that we live in the same neighborhood, but we're a lot more like them than we are maybe in Ohio State. And so let's see if we can't try to get to that level. And we've been there. We went ahead of them a little while, and then it's kind of gone the other way. And we've had some great games over the years. And I do know this from experience: if you're going to beat them, you got to beat them, and it's not easy. Well, to play our absolute best game. So yeah, we've got a tremendous amount of respect for what they've done. Obviously they've had several coaches since Barry's transition to the athletic director position, but they've all been outstanding people and outstanding coaches. So I've got a great admiration for what they do and great respect for what they do. And that's bottom line is they're the winningest team in our side of the bracket. The last 5 years. So that says it all right there.
Okay, Coach, thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
We will have a transcript available from Kirk Ferentz's news conference, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you no later than Saturday. Take care.